Have you ever wondered what truly kick-started the modern world? What single invention changed literally everything, from how we travel to how we make our clothes? The answer is a puff of steam. Before the 18th century, the world ran on muscle power, human hands, horses, and oxen. Progress was slow, limited by the strength of living beings and the flow of water. But all that was about to change thanks to a revolutionary machine, the steam engine. This wasn't just another invention. It was the powerhouse of the Industrial Revolution, the engine that drove humanity into a new era of speed, power, and unprecedented growth. Let's rewind the clock a bit. The basic idea of using steam for power wasn't brand new. Ancient Greeks had toyed with steam-powered devices, but they were mostly novelties, not practical machines. It wasn't until the late 17th and early 18th centuries that things started to get serious. The biggest problem at the time? Flooded mines. As miners dug deeper for coal and minerals, groundwater would seep in, making work impossible and dangerous. They needed a way to pump the water out, a task that was too demanding for horses. This is where our first hero, Thomas Savery, enters the story in 1698. He invented a device called the miner's friend. It used steam to create a vacuum that would suck water up from the mines. It was clever, but it had major flaws. It couldn't lift water very high and was prone to exploding. Not exactly the safest tool for the job. A few years later, in 1712, Thomas Newcomen came along with his atmospheric engine. This was a massive improvement. Newcomen's engine used steam to push a piston up, and then used the pressure of the atmosphere to push it back down as the steam condensed. This up-and-down motion was perfect for operating a pump. These engines were huge, inefficient, and gobbled up tons of coal, but they worked. For the first time, deep mining became practical, unlocking vast new reserves of the very fuel that powered the engines themselves. It was a self-perpetuating cycle of innovation. But the real game-changer, the name we all associate with the steam engine, is James Watt. Watt wasn't the inventor of the steam engine, but he perfected it. In the 1760s, while working as an instrument maker at the University of Glasgow, he was asked to repair a model of a Newcomen engine. He realized it was incredibly wasteful. It lost a huge amount of heat every time the cylinder was cooled down to condense the steam. Watt's brilliant insight was to add a separate condenser. Instead of cooling the whole cylinder, the steam was drawn into a separate chamber to be condensed. This meant the main cylinder could stay hot all the time. This single change made the engine dramatically more efficient, using about 75% less coal to do the same amount of work. This wasn't just a minor tweak, it was a quantum leap. Suddenly, the steam engine wasn't just for mines located right next to cheap coal. It could be used anywhere. Watt didn't stop there. He went on to introduce other key innovations, like the sun and planet gear, which converted the up-and-down motion of the piston into rotary motion, a spinning motion. Why was that so important? Because a spinning wheel can power anything. That's exactly what happened. The textile industry was the first to be completely transformed. Before steam, spinning and weaving were done by hand in people's homes, a slow process known as the cottage industry. With Watt's rotary engine, factories could be built to house dozens, then hundreds. Of steam-powered looms and spinning machines, production skyrocketed. For the first time in history, clothes became cheap and plentiful for the average person. Factories sprung up in cities like Manchester, which became the world's first industrial city, a bustling, smoky hub of production. The impact didn't stop at textiles. The iron industry boomed as well. Steam engines powered bellows that made furnaces hotter, allowing for the mass production of high-quality iron. This iron was then used to build more steam engines, more machines, more factories, and eventually, the very rails that would carry the next great steam-powered invention. I'm talking, of course, about the locomotive. Richard Trevithick was a pioneer, building the first high-pressure steam locomotives in the early 1800s. But it was George Stephenson's rocket that truly captured the world's imagination in 1829. It was unjust that it could pull heavy loads. It was fast, reaching speeds of nearly 30 miles per hour, which was mind-boggling at the time. The railway age was born. Railroads crisscrossed the country, then the continents. They could transport raw materials to factories and finished goods to markets with incredible speed and efficiency. They connected cities, shrunk distances, and allowed people and ideas to travel like never before. A journey that once took days by horse-drawn carriage could now be completed in a matter of hours. The same principle was applied to water travel. Robert Fulton's steamboat, the Clermont, chugged its way up the Hudson River in 1807, proving that steam could conquer the currents of rivers and the waves of the ocean. Steamships replaced sailing ships, making international trade faster, more reliable, and no longer dependent on the wind. This global network of steam-powered transport, railways, and steamships was the foundation of the globalized economy we know today. However, we can't ignore the dark side of this revolution. The rise of factories led to rapid, unplanned urbanization. People flocked to cities for work, living in crowded, unsanitary slums. Working conditions in factories and mines were often brutal and dangerous. Long hours, low pay, and child labor were rampant. The air in industrial cities was thick with coal smoke, leading to new health problems. The Industrial Revolution created immense wealth, but it also created new social divisions and environmental challenges that we are still grappling with today. It was a period of incredible progress, but also of great hardship and social upheaval. So when we look back at the steam engine, we see more than just a piece of machinery. We see the catalyst that reshaped human society from top to bottom. It moved us from fields to factories, from villages to cities, from the speed of a horse to the speed of a train. It gave us mass production, rapid transportation, and the interconnected global world we live in. It was noisy, dirty, and often dangerous, but it was the undisputed powerhouse that forged the modern age. The puff of steam from a simple kettle, harnessed and perfected, literally changed the world. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this journey back in time interesting, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell so you do and miss our next exploration of the ideas and inventions that shaped our history. See you next time.